Okay. Hello, this is Illustrator, and you opened it by clicking on the AI at the bottom of your screen. I don't know if you can see mine, but the AI. And when you open it up, it'll show you files that you've used in the past. Yours will probably be empty because you haven't used it yet. And to create a new file, you're going to go to the top left here and you're going to click on new file or create file or create new. It'll say one of those things depending on your version. So I'm going to click new file. And when I click new file, a dialog box opens up. And we're not going to mess with any of these templates in this class. We're only going to use over here on the right hand side of the panel, if you can see my mouse circling it, we're just going to use this top piece of the dialog box. So today we're going to learn about the 6 design principles. So you're going to learn how to use Illustrator, but also learn about the design principles at the same time. So we're going to title it. So I clicked on it and drug across to highlight it. And then I'm going to type design principle sketches. So that's the name. And I'm going to go over to this drop down menu and make sure that it's on inches. And it is on inches, so that's perfect. And then for today, we're going to have our artboards, which are like pieces of paper you would sketch on. So how many artboards and what size? We're going to have them 5 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And then come over to the word artboards here. And we want 6 artboards because there are 6 design principles. So you can either use the arrows or you can highlight the number and just type in 6. So again, design principle sketches is the name. Then we clicked in the width. Well, first we clicked and chose inches for sure. And then we clicked in the width and put 5 inches, height 5 inches, and we want 6 artboards. Artboards are like pieces of paper. And then say create. And there they are right there. We've got 6 artboards there and ready for us. And that is kind of what yours should look like as well. Before you get started, we're going to change the workspace, and that means that it'll put the tools on our screen that we want to use all the time. The way to fix the workspace is to go up to the top right here where my mouse is hovering. If you hover, you can see switch workspace. And if you click on that, you want to choose Essentials Classic. I already have Essentials Classic. If you can't find that workspace option, then go to the very top of your computer. I don't think you can see it on the screencast, but at the very top it says Window. And when you click on it, you can go down to Workspace and choose Essentials Classic. So 2 ways you want Workspace, Essentials Classic. And once you've got it, it'll look similar to mine right now. And here's how this works. On the left-hand side, you've got all your tools. So we have a selection arrow, we have a text tool, we have some shape tools. And then along the top, depending on which tool you have, if I choose the text tool, I'll have a bunch of options for text that will help me out. I can also see options for text if I go to this slider that says properties and open it up, and there will show me a whole bunch of options. I'm going to collapse it by clicking these 2 arrows and put it away. So on the left, we've got toolbars. On the top, we have options for whatever tool is selected. And on the right, you have panels. And you can get all kinds of panels from the window menu. So lots of panels. Our workspace puts just a few that you use often. So for example, here's if I want to change the thickness of a line. And the next one is if I want to put a gradient, something dark to light or light to dark or whatever I want to do there. This one down here is called layers, and we'll be working on that later, not today. And then down here, this one's pretty darn important. These are your swatches. So that little rectangle with different shades of gray and white there, those are swatches. Those are your colors that you're going to use. So colors. You can also find a color line when you go down to the little palette, the little paint palette. If you click on that, then you can find a whole array of different colors. All right. So what I like to do is, you notice how every time you click on something, everything else goes away? Since I use colors all the time, I'm going to click on my swatches and I collapse it with the 2 arrows. But since I use swatches all the time, I'm going to click in this blank spot, click and hold and drag. So I'm going to drag it away. So now it doesn't collapse every time I switch to a different menu. I have it safe over here and I can use it whenever I want. Okay. You could also do the same thing with your color line. If you want to use your color line quite a bit, you can move it. If I decide I don't want something, I can also drag it right back and hover, and then it will clip right back in. So when you see it blue, that means it's in there. Okay. So the double arrows here allow me to collapse or open up, collapse, open up. I can hover and put it back in the panel, or I can take it out and isolate it so I can use it all the time. All right, so today we're learning about 6 design principles, and let's start with the very first one. So the first one is contrast, and contrast means that things are different. So you have to have at least 2 things to be different from one another, and we can have difference in size, difference in shape, difference in colors, difference in texture, how something feels. Today we're going to do shape, size, and color all at the same time. So I'm going to go over to my tool panel, and do you see where your shapes are right here? The first one should be a rectangle for you. If you click on it to activate that tool, then you can start drawing rectangles all over the darn place. So you can draw lots and lots of rectangles. And as long as that tool is selected, that's what it's going to do, is draw rectangles. Every time I click, see, it wants to draw another rectangle. When I'm done drawing rectangles, I will click on my arrow at the top, and then I can use the arrow to move my rectangles around, or to make them smaller or bigger by clicking and dragging. So I click and drag. But we're not going to use rectangles just yet. So we're going to use different shapes. And if I look at this little triangle at the bottom right and I right click on my mouse, it pulls up a menu of a bunch of different tools. So let's make 2 different tools. Let's start with the ellipse tool. Let's make a circle. So I can draw a circle here. Actually, let's make it an oval just for funsies. All right. So I'm going to make an oval, and I'm going to grab my selection tool because I want to make it even bigger. So now I've got an oval there. I could have made it a circle if I wanted. If I hold Shift down, then I can get a perfect circle. Okay, whatever I want to do there. But we're going to keep it an oval. And I don't want my oval to be black, so I'm going to choose blue. You choose a completely different color. Okay, so choose a completely different color. And you see how when I click on a color over here in my toolbar, this box imitates the color. So I go to green, the box turns green. I go to orange, the box turns orange. So I'm going to go to this light blue here, and that's the inside of my shape. The other box beneath it, if I click on it, it comes to the top. That's the outside. Let's make the outside black for now. So see how it put a tiny little black outline over it? So black outline, I can come up to stroke and make it a thicker outline, or I can leave it a thin outline. I'm going to leave it a thin outline for right now. And then if I want to change the color, I have to click on the blue again so that I can change the inside color, and I'm deciding I want pink for my inside color. So now I'm done. You pick your own colors. So to contrast, we're going to make a different shape because we're contrasting shapes. So I'm going to right click on my shapes in the toolbar. And when I right click on the shapes, then I'm going to draw let's do a star. Okay. So I'm going to click on a star. And this is a big oval. So instead, I'm going to put a little star. So I click and drag to make a little star. And I grab my selection tool and I'm going to move it out of the way. I'm going to put it down here. And I'm going to choose a different fill color. I want this one to be light blue. And I'm going to leave the outline, so that background, the outline there, I'm going to leave the outline black, but the fill color, the inside color, is going to be light blue. All right, so now I have contrast because I have a big oval and a little star. So the oval and the star, those are different. The colors are different, pink and blue, and the size is different, large and small. Let's do one more medium shape. So this one, I'm going to draw a triangle. And when I right click on my shapes over here in my toolbar, there's no triangle. Shoot, darn. Okay, so here's how you make a triangle is you click on polygon, and polygon will make any size shape that you want, any number of sides that you'd like. And instead of drawing this time, I'm not going to draw, I'm just going to click. And when I click, this dialog box pops up, and I will choose 3 sides because a triangle has 3 sides. So it's going to draw my triangle, which is pretty big. And so I'm going to go grab my selection arrow here, which is that blank arrow again. And I'm going to make it a little smaller and move it down by clicking and dragging. And a little smaller, but not as small as the star. And then I'm going to make this one yellow. So 3 different colors, 3 different shapes, 3 different sizes. And I'm going to put it on my artboard so that it looks kind of neat. And that's it. I'm done with the first shape. So that was contrast, different size, different shapes, different colors. All right, take a hot break and then we'll do this second tutorial.